Sonia, who's going to talk to us about Teach Meeting Z and virtual conferences or unconferences, a bit like we're having today, and how she's run those and worked with people nationally and internationally. And that's enough from me. Way to go, Sonia. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thanks, Tessa. This is great. Kia ora, talofa, and greetings, everyone. My name is Sonia Van Schaik, and I'm a teacher at Newmarket School in Auckland, New Zealand. Today, I'm sharing the story about setting up Teach Meet Virtual in New Zealand, and it's sharing about that it's not just about the technology, but it's about getting teachers together to share their ideas and to achieve what we want to achieve pedagogically. And it's never really about the technology, but it certainly helps. And that's from Ewan McIntosh, those of you who know him. New Zealand part of it is aimed specifically at New Zealand educators, because there is a Teach Meet Virtual. And the virtual part is that it's all run online. So the joys of Google Hangouts. The journey is 2 years old and began with the Reform Symposium when there was a call for moderators for the unconference. Now, I agreed to be a moderator, and Kimberly Ribbett was presenter. We used Illuminate, just like we're doing now. It's now Blackboard. And that was my first introduction to doing things online. Then in 2012, a call for virtual presenters came by Ariana of Teach Meet International. 3 a.m. in the morning, I got up to speak as part of a group of 20 teachers from 16 countries. So it was like about a 3-hour session. And it was so exciting to hear teachers speak about their passion. Then later on, at the Google Summit last year in November, I heard Tony speak about Google Hangouts, and I got really excited because I've seen a bit about Google Hangouts. With Tony, we were able to see a live session. He had educators hang out from Australia, and as an audience, we could watch it live. So we were starting to move along. Then in March of this year, Steve put a call out. Those of you who know him, he does quite a few virtual unconferences, global unconferences online, and he's currently one of the chairs for the SC this year. He called for moderators for the School Leadership Summit, and I put my hand up and I helped him moderate. I moderated 3 sessions. This year in April, we had another Teach Meet International. I had another go with it, and this is where I saw how the system can crash. I'm going to turn off my video, in fact, I'm more conscious about bandwidth. And I saw the system crash because we had 20, heaps of people online. I was 6 online, and I already had my presentation up on SlideShare. The audio was still going, so I flipped across to SlideShare and presented using the audio, and the idea for Teach Meet started taking shape for New Zealand. Later on, a fortnight later, there was the ignition. We're running a session for leaders, and in attendance, I put a notice up. If anyone wants to trial Google Hangout with me, and there's 6 people who joined the discussion, and we continued to discuss how this online virtual sort of presentations would take shape. I spoke with Ariana about the Teach Meet format and asked her if we could borrow the ideas, and she put me in contact with Ewan McIntosh himself, and he was wonderful. He just flipped me across to the Teach Meet wiki space, and I found all about Teach Meet and realised it was a huge way for teachers to share. And with lots and lots of ideas. So the first group who agreed to hang out with me and to present, they are down the bottom, and all their names are there. And I see Pascal, you're here with us today, so great to have you with me. And Anne put her hand out, and she said, I'd like to find out what it's all about. I said, on one condition, that you present at the next one. So we were all on, and we were all trialing the tools, and probably 2 weeks of sorting out all the issues. And as we were sorting out issues, I live streamed them and recorded them so that we could go back and identify where the problems were. It was great learning. Thank you for those people who are helping me with that first Teach Meet. Then we used Twitter to communicate. We used SlideShare and Google Presentations to share the work. And we used Google Hangout to come together, kind of like we're doing now, and to sort out any challenges. And with these spaces to aggregate the work and to live stream from. Any challenges with the tool, we faced presenter, so I've learned to always have a few more presenters who are willing to step in at the last minute. The aha moment. We quickly saw the potential for learning, and it's particularly for teachers sharing their learning and sharing with everyone. It could probably happen too with secondary students. I'm not sure I would do something like this with primary school children, because there are challenges with that. The project, Teach Me NZ, is the final part of my eFellow learning about hyperconnectivity. I got those ideas from Mark Pesky, and I've been reading around his work about creation thinking and about collaborating, particularly about having face-to-face conversations. And it's allowed me to rethink the ways that teachers can share learning. Also allowed me to focus on my own learning, that hyperconnecting and developing those face-to-face conversations. So basically, how does it work? Each presenter only gets 3 minutes. Then we usually push that along, and it's been great about keeping that time tight. And all the discussion, questions and answers take place afterwards on Twitter. So we use our Twitter handle to really broadcast and to share the learning. Second Teach Meet we had was a lot easier because we all knew the tools. Well, I knew the tools a lot better, and the training sessions we had the week before were really focused. Again, I shoulder tapped some other teachers, and I had a teacher come through from Korea and one from Saudi Arabia. And Tessa, you were going to join us, but again, things happen. But I'll talk more about Tessa at the end and about how she's been supporting me in getting this live. There's all those discussions. So when we present, one of the things is about acknowledging the audience. So we do a bit of a, wave to the audience and turn off all the microphones. But probably next time, I'd leave the camera on. If you turn it off for the second session, it was like presenting in the dark. It was a little bit eerie. Monitor Twitter. It's always good to have observers monitoring Twitter. And the audience, because they're watching live, like our second session, we had 89 live, the audience, 89 participants watching the streaming. We also use the hashtag TeachMeetNZ. Basically, it's all about making connections. So I call the presenters, they say who they are, whereabouts in New Zealand they're from, and what the weather was like. Like one Saturday we had, it was absolutely pouring with rain. And usually signal when they're ready. Where's who next? I'm putting a call out to you who are here today. If you want to have a go with me, do join me. I usually I'll try to put a call out once a term. We use Google Hangout to present. It's all live streamed, and you probably think of ways to, once you learn how to use Google Hangout, it's an amazing way of recording lessons for your own students. And you'll also get a badge for your e-portfolio. So if you want to know more about the project, please get some links. And in the chat bar down below, I'll put my presentation so you can go and have a look at it as well. And those links are live from there too. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Oh, thanks, Sonia. That sounds wonderful. I was actually listening to that 3 minutes, and I thought, how could you cut people when there must be just so much gold in those virtual meetings? It must be really hard to get to those time frames. But some of those top tips that you've passed on to us today about microphones and 3 minutes and some of the other techie parts might be able to help feed into this virtual event for next time. Does anybody have any questions or any comments or something they'd like to share with Sonia before we move on? I'll open up the floor. Thanks, Sonia, for sharing. Awesome.
Just before people, if anyone has got a question, I do want to acknowledge you too, Tessa, because you were one who just was so enthusiastic when I started mooching the idea, because I had no idea what to use at that stage. So thank you for your support.
That's okay. I get excited about a lot of things, but I think this idea about meeting in a way that we don't have to get in cars and pay for petrol and still learn heaps of each other, I think is a fantastic idea. And you're doing a wonderful job of being a champion of that, Sonia, and being a champion online, so thank